All right, so welcome everyone back to the virtual lean learning experience, the VLX. Today we are here for a panel discussion with our speakers from Tuesday. LEI's founder and board member Jim Womack, and LEI's senior advisor, recent COO of Rivian, Jim Morgan. And I am Josh Howell. I'll be moderating the discussion today. I am the president of the Lean Enterprise Institute. So getting started is one thing in whatever industry you might be in. Many of us are working for organizations that have gotten started and that might be struggling at some point in time with their lean transformation, their lean implementation. So there have been a number of questions coming in related to that around sort of the challenge of transformation and what we have learned about that process over the years and what we can do better or differently going forward. Jim Morgan, one question that came in for you was a question around if you could give an example of a successful lean product and process development kind of implementation, and maybe an example of one that was not so successful, and what you learned from the differences in those two experiences. Of course, you work for you work as a senior advisor for the Lean Enterprise Institute. You don't work for organizations that are tackling these things day in and day out today. So you may be limited with what you can share exactly. But certainly you've learned some things over the years, and there's interest in gleaning your know-how around that topic.
Yeah, gosh, we probably could have started with that question and spent the whole hour on it. And you're right, I can't talk about, specific programs or companies or things like that would be completely inappropriate. But I do think starting with a real need is crucially important. If it doesn't matter to the business, it's hard to get the resources and the attention and the sort of focus, I guess, that is required. I think that willingness to pivot, to use a term I'm not particularly fond of, but the willingness to just burn it down, to blow it up and start all over is incredibly important. When we were talking about implementing lean principles and practices with a sense of urgency, with a business that was starting to get up and running, it was extremely important not to just continue to chase something that was clearly not working, and be willing to just sort of start over again. Excuse me. So I think those are all important, sort of, helping the business fundamentals, being willing to try the experiment and pivot when it doesn't work, engaging people, sort of JIT with training, right? Not to outrun your learning as you're starting to implement this stuff. Finding programs to pilot on so it's part of the real world, not spending a bunch of time on jargon and dogma and we must do this and we must do that. Thinking from first principles and then reasoning from first principles, I think are all elements or characteristics of successful implementation and successful programs. Also, creating a situation, whether it's the product itself or the implementation of the system, where it becomes aspirational. So during my time at Ford, when Mullally was there, that inspiration was such a big part of what we were doing and what we wanted to be part of. During my time at Rivian, many of the people there are there because they really believe in what Rivian stands for and what they're trying to accomplish, and making them a part of them, being inclusive, and enrolling people in that is also hugely important. In terms of the downside, I think there's lots of things that I could cite. Not doing enough front in the study period, not really understanding your customer in context, whether it's for a program or for implementation, not having a clear view of what good looks like and what problem we're trying to solve. I think all those things, not engaging all the right people, trying to do it sort of in in a small pocket. But the biggest disasters that I've seen in terms of programs is when you skip steps, right? When you say, look, we're going to shorten our lead time by eliminating this or this, right? Because we don't need it anymore. We don't need to build, physical prototypes. We don't need to, have, production tryout builds. We don't need, whatever. And you eliminate them without a countermeasure, right? You eliminate them without an enabler. Those are the programs that I think, struggle the most.
Let's see, Josh, could I just say one word about that?
Please.
That I've been doing this for a long time. And what I find that is an important enabler of success is that there's an actual engagement between the improvement folks and the line management. We came into this in a sort of a bad way back, say 1990, when everybody was in a big hurry to do lean, and people set up lean teams that were sort of inspired by the OMCD folks at Toyota, who would basically do lean to people. And they would show up and say, okay, this week we will move all the machines, and we've done a quick assessment. We know we'll be better off to get out of process village and into product family value streams. And we brought our pry bars and all kinds of other equipment, and we're going to do it. And I've watched a gazillion of those way back when. And the problem was that almost none of it could be sustained at the level that was achieved at the end of the improvement cycle, because in fact, the line management really had no experience in how to run a stable process. They themselves had no knowledge of how you improve. And so an unfortunate dependency relationship came up that the line folks, anytime something either went wrong or someone said, you need to improve, said, I believe I'll outsource that to the improvement team. And hey, the improvement team's happy to get started. Great, more work. But downstream, this may not lead anywhere, because in fact, there is no real engagement and there's no development of managers. So Toyota some years ago changed the name OMCD to OMDD, which is the Operations Management Development Division. And they now see their job as developing line managers who can do the things that they used to do. So they now become coaches, enablers, educators, rather than do-it people. And that for them has been a formula that's worked well. You don't see that so much elsewhere. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity for experimentation there.
It actually reminds me of another failure mode that I didn't mention that I should, and that's organizations that try to transplant directly what they were doing in the factory into the product development system without really understanding the unique nature of that environment. And you turn off engineers and developers and designers really quick when you show up and decide the best thing you can do is draw a circle around their wastebasket or something. So really understanding the environment and the challenges is critically important as well.
So with that, it is a wrap. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Jim. Thank you to everyone who joined us today. Thank you to everyone who will watch the replay of this video at a later time. And we will see you online and remotely through Zoom, just like everyone else in our lives these days. All right. Bye for now.
Thanks, all.
Thank you.